Anime is no stranger to gender non-conforming characters, and while trans acceptance in the recent years has been growing a lot, the appearance of trans characters has also been growing. You may be shocked to learn that trans characters have existed since the 1960s in anime. Osamu Tezuka is considered the godfather of all anime for this help of creating techniques to make animation cheaper. Also, The Lion King. This man was also insane. Look at this list of manga. Wikipedia doesn't even have every entry he's made listed. I'm crying. I will never read it all. I've accepted this fact of life. A lot of early trans characters come from a post-Princess Knight. They take the traditional role of men of saving the princess. Sapphire takes on the look of women dressing as men. This was a big change of how gender was perceived at this time. The manga already starts with the main character who is shown as given the heart of a man, but God, I think it's God, gives Sapphire the heart of a woman. Tezuka made another trans character appear in one of his mangas as well. Dororo and Dororo. Dororo and Dororo. It's such a funny word to say. It makes me laugh every time. He's a boy. Well, he was born a girl, and throughout the entire manga states as such. Well, we find out in the final chapter that Dororo was born as a girl, but he states constantly that he is a man, which in fact he is not a man. He is old boy. He constantly fights for his masculinity. While Hyakimaru misgenders Dororo throughout the journey, Dororo always stands his ground that he does not want to be a girl. He hates the idea of being seen as weak and feminine, which, besides the little misogyny in Dororo's eyes, he's got the right attitude. Though he is misogynistic, but you know, this is supposed to take place in like the Edo era, I think. So, you know, I guess it makes sense. Look, we don't get all winners. We get some winners, okay, gamers? Dororo always fights for his masculinity at every moment of the series. While it's not outright stated that he's trans, it was also 1967, and not much of a stretch to read this as a trans man, considering at the end of the chapter he literally says, "I'm not a girl," when Hyakimaru says, "Maybe next time I see you, maybe you will be less of a bitch and be an actual woman." And Dororo looks at him and says, "You, I'll never be a woman. I'm a man. I'm gonna get off." This is what I live for. This is why. I think it's fitting how angry Dororo gets at the end to accept this as a man. I don't expect Dororo to actually not be a man anymore. It feels like his entire character is that he just is a bitch. I love this. I love this man. I love him to death. He's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. You should read it. Even if you don't agree on the last two, the first, most arguable, truest, original trans character in all of anime and manga that I can find is Claudine, is expressively out as a trans man. This one-volume manga, or in another case, like a few chapters, maybe 2 or 3, this short manga follows Claude, who lives an extremely traumatic life. He lives as a trans man surrounded by pretty much unsupportive family and friends, in a world that he struggles to find love. He tries to live his life fully and experience life as a man, and he desires anything more to be in love and pretty much find a woman. He just really wants to get laid. But that's pretty much what this manga's about, is just a man just trying to get laid the entire time. It's like, bitch, please, I love you. And then she's just like, eh. I mean, there's a few women who do fall for him because he's like very pretty and he's portrayed to be like the prettiest of boys. He's a K-pop star in the 1700s. He's conventionally attractive, but he's so dramatic. Everyone just is like, eh. This is pretty much how this story goes. The manga is partially written from Claude's therapist's point of view because his parents saw him as like, our kid's trans, I don't know what this means. It's the 1700s. We'll just pawn him off to the therapist. The therapist is like, no, you're just a man. You're just a man who's born in the wrong body. And Claude was like, that's what I'm saying. There's a wholesome scene later on, once Claude's mother starts to like kind of accept him, when Claude is asked on a date to go to an all-girls ball. And his mother states to him, a gentleman never breaks a promise to a girl, which is the sweetest moment the entire time of this entire manga, where for once there's like a little bit of happiness in Claude's life that someone's treating him like how he wants to be treated. This sweet moment is like ruined down the line when Claude kisses a girl and sometime later, and his mother is like shocked and in awe of like, what? My daughter's a lesbian? Because, you know, she's transphobic, so she doesn't think of it as like a straight kiss. She says a gay kiss, which to her is like worse than her son being trans? It's funny if you overthink this. This manga gets really, really dark later on as the despair in the world grows. His therapist eventually tells him, hey, you got an imperfect body. And Claude just comes to the realization, damn, I should just die. Which he does. It's chilling and tragic. It's a really good read, even though I've been reading in this more laid-back tone. It is a very chilling manga. Also, it is just a fire trans read, if you like really fire trans manga. It was written by the incredible, masterful Ryoko Ikeda, who went on to write Rose of Versailles, which inspired so much, and I mean so much, gay anime and lesbian anime, mainly the lesbian anime. Now, Rose of Versailles does not technically depict a trans character, at least according to Ryoko, who has stated that, or Lady Oscar, is not trans whatsoever, but I think Lady Oscar is a very interesting character to talk about in this context of trans characters. Was a character who was pretty much raised as a boy, though she's biologically a woman. And throughout the series, there's this struggle within her heart of how she just wants to describe herself and see herself. Sometimes in the early parts of the manga, she sees herself as a man who's trying to find her way. Throughout other times, she's trying to define herself as a girl. And by the end, she finds herself where she's accepting herself as a woman who is just on the more masculine side of things, on how she wants to be as a woman. The show treats her like the perfect man. Oscar is noble, honorable, compared to the more despicable men of the series. This true idealization of what a man should be is how Oscar's portrayed. We see them cheat, scheme. Oscar is what people want the idea of a true noble to be. This idea of honor and holding yourself up to certain higher beliefs. No one in the series except for Oscar really holds these beliefs. Even the men who are portrayed more good are corrupted by everything around them. Robespierre goes on like genocide later on, as we all know. Positive masculinity, Oscar inhibits and is. And yet Oscar, at the end, rejects this idea of masculinity and stays. She identifies as a masculine woman. This doesn't take her away from the idea that she defies gender stereotypes a lot in a similar way to Princess Knight, but here, Oscar, at least according to Ryoko, is not trans, and I don't think Oscar would transition based off the reading of the text. I think Oscar is someone who'd be very happy with their body, and because there's not many scenes where they worry about that, at least from my recollections last time I read it. Now, both Princess Knight and Rose of Versailles continue the trend of women prince archetypes. They are both deeply inspired by the Takarazuka Revue, an all-women musical theater troupe which also has a Rose of Versailles adaptation. The Revue's motto, modesty, fairness, grace, comes from the teachings of Kobayashi Izu, the three ideal servings of the main pillars of every show that they put on at the Takarazuka. Even in our present time, Kobayashi's goal with the Revue company was to offer popular theatrical entertainment that the whole family can enjoy together. And that's from their website. The troupe inspired many manga and anime that are progressive and push the medium forward for more diverse and gender expression within the characters. This also most likely is the start of the women knight trope, or at least inspired Princess Knight to create it. While it may have inspired progressive ideas overall, it is not. Chris Suzuki explains, Kobayashi never anticipated that some Takarazuka women would find themselves more comfortable portraying men than he bargained for. This led some to denounce their femininity completely and embrace their own homosexuality, and some refused to marry at all. So, as maybe it's not been progressive, but at least inspired progressive ideas to help push the medium forward. This moves us to the next era of the economic bubble of the 1980s. NDAs were given to the fantastic, the amazing, the incredible, Stop! A comedy anime about Hibari, a trans girl who is strong, smart, good at sports. Yes, she is the perfect woman, and you can never have her because she's a 2D character. Stop crushing on 2D women. Crush on real women, like VTubers, because they're real and they're not a figment of your imagination. Everyone has a crush on her, but her family is afraid of their secret getting out, that she's trans, which they call being a degenerate. Now, Hibari always refers to herself as a woman, never as a man. Over the course of the show, her family slowly starts to refer to her with more female pronouns, treat her more like a girl from time to time, though it is a struggle. Hibari does have transphobic aspects with how Hibari is treated, but the overall comedy of the show is about how the people being transphobic to her just end up getting their comeuppance and getting beaten up or losing to some degree. Rarely does it treat the comedy as it's a guy pretending to be a girl. Hibari is seen as the ultimate woman in her series. She's strong, smart, considered attractive. She's empathetic. She cares about people a lot, and she tries to help out. She's passionate about her family and wants to see her family thrive. And she takes great pride in herself as a person and does not let anyone take her down a peg. She's the embodiment of a trans woman. While on this topic, there's a very common trend in anime, this joke of men trying to pretend to be women, and that's the joke, is that, oh, this guy has a crush on a dude. This trend has kind of gone away in recent years, but I saw it a lot very prominently in the 2000s to 2010s, though in rather recent days it seems to have gone away. Now, of course, Hibari breaks this mold, and I'm not aiming to focus on shows that do that to their characters. We're talking specifically about trans characters in this video. But in this case, go Hibari. Hibari's great. I love Hibari-kun. It's such a fun show. The first few trans characters are fantastic. For trans people, or compared to how American media portrays trans characters, this is incredible. Where trans characters in American media in the same era, we were just jokes to laugh at. In the famous Dirty Pair, a comedy show about two girls who do odd jobs for random people. In episode 7, Clicky, the son of a rich billionaire, is a runaway from his family because he fell in love with a terrorist woman who kidnaps him. Joanne, great fucking name. This terrorist goes to war by interrupting his wedding and shooting chains off of his arms so she can kidnap this man. And then they run away to go eat burgers. This is the most American thing I've ever seen in my life. I love it. The chains are also like red to like symbolize the red string of fate tying him together to this fake wedding, as he's got like multiple wives, and Joanne just shoots them all off, breaking the red string because her red string is with him. Obviously, it's pretty obvious that where we're going in this video that Joanne is trans, but I'll get there later. Okay, gamers, I know you could see where I'm going with it. I'm getting to it. So the lovely angels, aka the Dirty Pair, work on their way to finding Joanne and Clicky, and after confronting them, Joanne is manipulated by the tech billionaire who manipulates them with his suitcase of mind control or something. Which Clicky thinks, oh no, Joanne actually doesn't like me. She was just after me for $2 million. Which is obvious that was not the case, because Joanne throws the money into a fire immediately because she loves him so much. Incredible. It's then revealed that Joanne is trans, of course, and that in this world, in the world of Dirty Pair, 1 in 10 people are trans. Fear us, gamers. We're coming after you every single day. And then the turf lady gets made fun of by saying, shut up, base. Then they call her ugly, and then the billionaire doesn't comment on his mistress's beauty being insult to injury. He just does not give a fuck about her. Like, damn. Joanne continues the noble knight archetype that we see of trans characters, as she's more honorable and heroic than the men in this episode as well, and that her true love, being Clicky, that she'll do pretty much anything for by throwing away, millions of dollars. Holy shit. She's not blinded by the riches, and she's not as weak, especially her boyfriend, who is also really in love with her. Now, yes, what does this mean? That means Dirty Pair predicted Elon Musk. Except if Elon Musk's daughter wasn't trans, she was just, like, in love with a trans person. But, the spirit's there. Evil billionaire, loses family member because of his transphobia. Yeah, it works. And then they're shot into the moon, and they'll be back in like 50 years with no time passing. Pretty based. Pretty base. Yes, this episode shows the rich and powerful are evil and should not be trusted. Then the pair ride a bear to maul the rich dude. Yeah, the transphobic dude loses his only thing that he cares about, which is his family. The Gender Bender is a genre of characters who swap genders, and while most of these anime are not trans characters particularly, they do play off an aspect of comedy that is a little transphobic. In the popular comedy anime Ranma 1/2, popularized this trope, and it's worth some introspection for trans representation. Ranma from Ranma 1/2 grows from seeing his body swap genders so often as a curse to the point in the finale where Ranma states that they stop caring about their gender and that swapping so often. While stating Ranma to be gender fluid makes sense in this explanation at the end of the story, many tend to disagree about Ranma being trans. Now, I cannot find a good explanation why. Apparently this final panel is mistranslated, though I cannot find a better translation anywhere I look. In the gay 90s, anime was incredible.
If you had a convenience store, then I would live with you.
What is that?
We got some cool stuff, some depressing stuff, mainly depressing stuff. It was just an era of depression, honestly, let's be real. In the anime of the 5th season of Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask, everyone's favorite guy who does absolutely nothing, runs away to go on a trip to America. And with Usagi's love interest gone for this entire season, she's given a newish love interest with this cool K-pop band called the Starlights, who are also secretly, unbeknownst to the world, the Sailor Starlights. These K-pop boy band start off as men, and then they transform into women, or at least women bodies. Now, these are not side characters. These are the main characters of the season, kind of like how Uranus and Neptune were in the season they were introduced. But now it's with the Sailor Stars, and it is incredible. Now, in the manga, the Starlights are in fact women who cross-dress. 100% this is the intention of the author. And the anime changed it so the Starlights are men who transform to women, which is far more base, if we're being honest. Thus making the anime version of them being gender fluid akin to Ranma 1/2. Now, Naoko Takeuchi stated hadn't been terribly pleased with this decision, and the reason for which became clear to the answer's question about Sailor Uranus' relationship with Phil and Neptune have always been a matter of conjecture. Now, while this does mean the initial aspect of these characters being trans is not canon, at least to the manga, they still work as representative in the anime, at least for non-binary and gender-fluid people who want to see this type of representation, and I am far more happy that we have this representation to exist. The Sailor Stars are a fun group over the course of the show, and they're a wonderful way to end this fantastic franchise. If read as only women, they at least continue the lesbian arc of Sailor Moon. Also, Sei continues the trend of the honorable knight yet again. I'm just saying, if trans girls are the honorable knight trope, I'm all for this every single time that all trans women are just cool knights. Where's my Utena? Where's my honorable knight, goddammit? Now, of course, Naoko Takeuchi has a somewhat famous husband who has made a few trans characters in his own work. You may know him as Yoshihiro Togashi, the guy who wrote Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho. He's created several trans characters in his works, though they tend to have minor roles. They're not really main characters the way that the Sailor Stars were. For example, in Hunter x Hunter, Killua, one of the main characters whose sister turns out to be trans, and Killua's entire life goal is to get his sister away from his transphobic family. This arc gives some backstory to Killua, but Alka doesn't really tend to do a lot in this arc. She's mainly a plot beat for Killua to become a more interesting character and express a little bit more about Killua's backstory and characterization. I'm happy this story exists, but it's definitely not the strongest trans representation in this video. I kind of forgot Aluka's name when making this video halfway through. In the critically acclaimed anime Yu Yu Hakusho, it's bad. It's real bad. We're not doing good, fam. We're not doing good.
Huh? It turns out our Mrs. is a mister.
It's pretty transphobic. Let's be real. So, this is from Yusuke's perspective, the main character, who is a delinquent boy of the 90s. Now, normally I'd say, well, it was the 90s, and that was a bad era, but we've gone through multiple positive trans representations in this video, so I'm calling bullshit. You see, he's in a fight with this demon girl called Miyuki, and he misgenders her in their fight by grabbing her genitalia and saying, "You're not a woman. You're a man. Be a man." And it's just cringe. It's not a good time. And they treat it as like an aspect that she just is a liar and just a cross-dresser and she doesn't want to be a woman, but it's very obvious that she does see herself as a woman. Though this will lead me into my mini segment. The word that we have not been talking about, as there has been many characters that are pretty famous in anime for being called traps. Trap characters are cross-dressing characters who go out of the way to trick people into making them think they are girls. This archetype is largely used as transphobic language to trans people and has been that way for a long time. Links to some videos below explaining in more detail than this video will go into. Miyuki is a pretty good example of this, not because she is a trap, but because she is legitimately a trans woman. She may be a villain. I'm glad by Hunter x Hunter Togashi grew and learned a lot more about trans people to make Aluka a character and exists, but like I said before about Aluka doesn't really do anything in the show. And we've had better representation before. Stop Habari-kun has proved that alone. But if the joke, she's trans, that's not a joke, that's just you making fun of trans people for the sake of them being trans. We don't really need that kind of energy around here, and it looks like Togashi kind of agrees. We celebrate growth here, so I'm glad that Togashi is an ally, but it's worth looking at his mistakes and how he's grown as a creator. Traps are generally transphobic. Besides the fact that the term is a slur to trans people, many anime fans have often used the term to attack trans people in the past and to also attack trans characters by calling them traps. I don't need to even look that back far to talk about Bridget being considered a trap back when it took the creators themselves to admit, yes, Bridget is trans. I have not seen the term as used as much as it was a few years ago, but every once in a while I see people bringing it back up. Well, That was not a fun conversation, but we should get back to talking about actual trans representation that is good, and that's not Yu Yu Hakusho. Satoshi Kon, one of the greatest anime creators of all time, in 2003 dropped a movie that was incredible called Tokyo Godfathers, a movie about homeless people trying to find a dumpster baby back to their true mother. One of these characters, Hannah, is without a doubt a trans woman, constantly saying that she was a mistake by God by being born a man. She presents herself as a woman. She's an ex-drag queen, though she's not really drag if she just is trans. This is a rare type of movie about homeless people struggling and just trying to survive, and in their journey to bring life back from their dark and sad lives and make themselves better and happier people. Throughout this movie, Hannah gets a chance she's been wanting for a long time, to become a mother, a dream she's had since her early life. She knows that this baby needs to go back to her mother, but this gives her a chance to experience what it's like to be a mother, and it gives her such great happiness. And she goes on to the ends of the earth to see this child home. Well, as we leave the 90s, even though we did it in the last segment, do you know there's a show with over 1,000 episodes that everyone tells you to watch, and you probably haven't because you don't want to make the time for it because you're afraid of commitment? The one that has trans characters, it's about the guy who took a bite of gum gum. Well, luckily for you, it has trans characters. One Piece. We got the badass Chad Yamato, the son of the infamous Kaido, one of the 4 emperors who are like one of the later on-term villains. But I want to talk about one scene that I am familiar with. The Straw Hats are going to the hot springs, and they're separated by gender, by the men and women, like normal for hot springs. Yamato is chilling with the other men of the Straw Hat crew. Fire scene. I need to catch up to see Yamato just chilling with the boys as he does. What a goddamn Chad. I just don't want to read another 300 chapters. Pray for me, gamers. I'm a slow reader. I'm having my friend explain because I don't know anything about Yamato because I haven't gone to that part of the manga yet because I'm a lazy reader.
It seems like he's a trans femboy with a non-traditional stance on his dead name. His chosen name is Kozuki Oden. He's just also cool with his friends calling him Yamato.
Thank you, Keyblade. You can find her channel below. There's also a character whose entire power is HRT, the ability to transition gender between people. Ivankov, who is just a revolutionary person who just wants to bring revolution to the world and destroy the government. I love it, Oda. Keep at it, King. We gotta talk about the gay anime that all Yuri lovers adore. We gotta talk about Nana. I'm kidding. There's no trans character in Nana. We're talking about Paradise Kiss, another manga by Aizawa, which is just as good as Nana, except it has an ending, which is why it's better, Nana fans. Nothing will replace Nana in my heart. I'm crying every day. Please come back, Queen. Paradise Kiss is a manga about a girl who's living for her mother instead of herself. Discovering that her real passion is to be a model, she interacts with a group of strange fashion designers. Isabella is one of the members of this who is just a cool trans woman. She's not solely defined by her being trans, as she's also extremely passionate about fashion design. She works as the group therapist to help people work out their issues, as she's kind of learned how to work out her own issues. She's also the character who delivers the most difficult truths of the world to Caroline, the main character. That's not her Japanese name, but everyone gets a cool second name when they join the Paradise Kiss. At one point, she explains that not everyone's vision for clothes is met when they're making art. George, who is the best member of the group and also the most talented and also the most toxic, even though they all follow him and believe in this vision, they cannot make their own art and desires because that would go against the group because they have to come together to make George's visions come true, as he is the director. It's the sad truth of them being fashion designers. Isabella has this aspect of sadness around her in every scene she's in, and where she tries to make people happy in spite of this understanding of the world and this sadness. Isabella is 100% trans. There's an entire sequence of her backstory early on in where George gives her first dress, and it is beautiful. I love you, Aizawa. You make me cry. Why do you give the best women the most toxic men? In the 2010s, trans representation kind of happened a lot more often than normal, with more information that we do exist as people. Wandering Sun is probably the anime most people think of when they're thinking of trans anime. The show specifically is about the struggles of Shiuchi Nitor growing up as trans, the struggles of the family members that don't really understand her as a girl as she struggles to find herself. In the first episode, Nitor goes out alone for the first time as a girl, and she has a great day as she finds herself euphoric, living as a woman rather than a boy. She gets home and her sister sees her wearing, her sister's clothes, and they get into a fight. She runs away from home until her best friend comforts her as the person who accepts her and sees her as her true self. She then meets a trans boy, and they become friends over their struggles. And that's kind of what the show is about. Now, the other most famous trans character is probably Lily from Zombieland Saga. The idol Lily literally dies from stress and gender dysphoria. Mood queen. When seeing just a little bit of hair grow on her face. The show literally only spends about 30 seconds about her being trans. The rest of her own personal episode is about the trauma of her death and her relationship with her father. It's refreshing to let Lily's arc not be defined by her being trans, actual horrors of being a child actress. The stress of struggling in that space as she tries to make a connection with her dad, and he puts her under intense stress, which ends up causing her death, which he does blame himself for, and Lily forgives him throughout the course of the show. It's a beautiful arc. This was the only show on this list I had not seen before making this video, and I am in tears. Please hold me. In season 1, Lily does not get a lot of screen time, besides the one episode dedicated to her, but her friends always treat her as a girl and don't even think about treating her like a guy at any moment. Her biggest fear is growing up and starting to look like her dad, because her dad is this giant of a man who has more muscle and more masculine than anyone in the franchise. Lily wants to stay short, small, and feminine. She's afraid of hormones making her masculine. And her becoming a zombie makes her really happy that she's never have to go through, male hormones. Now, many people hate CGI anime because there's so many goddamn bad CGI anime. But that all changed when the Steven Universe anime came out and it was all better. I'm kidding. We're talking about Land of the Lustrous, the better gem show. The only anime I'm aware of where the main cast of characters are all non-binary. All the Gemstone characters do not have a gender and kind of use he, him pronouns for the most part. Some use she, her pronouns, but they're all technically non-binary. From an interview with Haruko Ichikawa, I know the gems have an unusual, mysterious charm. I feel that makes them very sexy. We know that they're sexless, but how do you see and draw them? I draw the upper part boy-like and the lower part girl-like. The inorganic, asexual, completely nothing of the minerals is definitely the most alluring thing to me. Ichikawa states to them being asexual, complete nothing. For non-binary representation, this is a larger step forward in anime, and for asexual representation, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good step forward too, if I'm being honest. We're eating good tonight, my fellow asexuals. A show dedicated to a cast of non-binary characters exploring the strange world and the struggles of finding your place in that world, and the dangers of changing yourself so you become so far different that you cannot be recognized by your friends, and who only see you as a new monster when you have not become a monster. You have just evolved into a better and more powerful person. Is all the themes of Land of the Lustrous, which is why I adore it so much. His comrade starts to destroy his body and fuse with other materials to become stronger. The more he does this, his personality warps and changes. The cheerful, goofy gemstone we meet at the beginning of the story is gone by the end of the anime, and this cold and calculated person remains. Everyone's questioning what happened to Foss, and Foss is, for the first time in her life, satisfied with what she's able to do and become. In a sense, Foss has become happy. Foss puts themselves through an intense pain and torment, and to see that character made by losing literal parts of their body to become that new person. And what's more trans than that? To go through a torment of not liking your physical form and who you are, to then craft yourself into who you truly are, and then at the end of that journey, to be better and feel more fulfilled in life. The manga just continues down this trend even more so, and I adore it. Now, there's a lot more trans characters out there. From shows like Stars Align, Soul Eater, Blue Period, and many others have gender non-conforming characters. Anime has always had a punk attitude towards fighting against the system, standing up when being seen as an outcast. Trans characters in anime go hand in hand with that in mind, and we are seen as strange by the outside world. And we've been a part of the history since the very beginning, and we'll be there until anime dies. So Space Cowboys, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time, Space Cowboy.